when we encounter this issue, we have a specific process that we go through. And so we tell the founder, I want you to make a Google Sheet, really simple, and I want you to have the time slots from 5 a.m. to midnight, whatever, however long you work, in 15-minute increments. And I want you to set a timer, easy timer, kitchen timer, like for cooking, for every 15 minutes. And every 15 minutes, I want you to, when it dings, I want you to write down what you did. One or two words. Doesn't take a lot. Now, as soon as I say that, people are like, oh my God, I don't have time for this. I will promise you, it will be the most productive week of your life because you will be aware of how you're spending your time. Every time I do this, I immediately think I should do this all the time, and I don't. So just do it. Just do it for the 1 week, okay? And so what happens is you'll do it for a whole week, and then what the second step of this is you'll look at that and you'll say, okay, wow, I didn't know that 40% of my time is dealing with this thing, and I can hire a role to handle 40% of my time for this amount of money. If I had 40% of my time back, I could double this business, and that would be worth significantly more than what I'd pay this person. And then you look at the next 15% of your time, and you're like, okay, is this something that I can give to somebody else? Like, can I push this down? Can I create some process around this that can correct it? Or do I need to keep eating it for a little bit until it's enough that it's a full-time role? And so fundamentally, I see the entrepreneur as the many-hatted fractionalist that you continue to pull things onto your plate until you have enough that you can ship it out to somebody else full-time. And being aware of, again, the one resources we have, which is time, how we're allocating it so we get the highest return. And so if you look at the stack of time as an entrepreneur, we are always getting paid for our time. Kind of the premise of the whole talk here is that we trade our time for dollars. And so we always, the whole process of entrepreneurship is continuing to trade up what you're trading your time for. And that's it, like at the most foundational level, that is all we're doing. And so to take this as a hypothetical, your business doesn't need you. Right now, you spend whatever hours you do working and you do these things. Imagine a world where you could hire somebody who could spend the same amount of time doing all of that stuff. Now you own the business. And whatever you have to pay them, you take out of the profit, and everything else is now distributions that you own as an owner. That's it. Now, the entrepreneur who's mission-driven then stacks their plate with even more things that they need to do, and then just continues that process over and over again. Now, this is the part where the pushback comes, which is no one can do what I can do. And I want to say, you're right, and. If I wanted to, let's say you're a unicorn. So we can imagine this mythical unicorn. We've got this white horse, got the horn, tail, everything. And the little pixie flies for the magic that's around it. Okay. You probably won't find a unicorn, but you can find a white horse. And you can find a rhinoceros to get the horn. And you can find some fireflies to give you the twinkles. And so you may not hire one person who has all of these things, but you can hire three. And then those three together can potentially do everything that you're doing better because it's all they're doing with all of their time. And breaking it up into basically understanding that you're not going to find that unicorn, but you just break it into pieces and then you can partition it out to people who can just do those parts, makes it a lot more manageable from an emotional level to think like, I'm never going to find this. Of course you're not. And that's okay because we can solve for parts of our calendar. And fundamentally, when you buy back the time, you can then do what you're like, basically take the next step in the business.
The other really interesting thing is you were talking about your friend who was doing blogs and missed YouTube.
Yeah.
Was the idea that our success traps, the old innovator's dilemma, that success traps us in the past. So your friend probably missed YouTube because he didn't want to reallocate headcount to something that was working and paying the bills. And this, I guess, ties into your point about failure being so unbelievably important because what me and you both do right now is going to get old.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And we probably both watched the people that came before us fade into irrelevance.
Look at these dinosaurs. yeah, right.
And we're part of some kind of new school of content creation, but we're going to become part of the old school if we don't.
Yeah.
What's in that gap?
Adapt. And I think that it's so, Google has their, I think Sergey solved this mathematically, but I think they called it 70-20-10. So 70% of resources get allocated to the core business, do more of what we're currently doing. 20% goes to adjacent businesses. So things that are high likelihood success that are, one step removed from the existing core business. And then 10% goes to moonshots, totally like off the path. Like, let's just see, maybe we'll get 100x return. We probably will lose on most of these. And he proved it with math. He's smarter than I am. But fundamentally, that is the concept of more, better, new. And so that's one of the chapters in the leads book, which is, okay, now that you have the core 4, right? These are the 4 things that you can do. You can post content, you can run ads, you can do outreach to strangers, you can do outreach to people you know. Those are the 4 things any person can do to advertise. The first thing you do is you do more. And for most small businesses, they're doing so little and think they're doing so much. And it's a huge gap in understanding. And so I'll tell this story that's probably the easiest way to explain it, which is, when I had my first gym, I called up a mentor. He had 20 locations. I said, how do you advertise? He said, I use flyers. I said, okay. So I put 300 flyers out. It didn't work. I called him back. I was upset. I said, WTF? He said, slow down. What was your test size? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, your test size. So like, I mean, the 300 wasn't the only amount that you put out. And I was like, well, yeah. He's like, well, our test size is 5,000 flyers. And then once we have a winner, then we do 5,000 every day in terms of flyers that they put on cars to get people in. And so over a 30-day period, he would be putting out 150,000 flyers. And over a 30-day period, I put out 300. And so he was in a very real way doing whatever the math is there, but like 300 times or whatever, I don't know, a lot more, 500 times the flyers that I was. And of course, he was getting a better result. And so one of the fundamental misconceptions of small businesses is that they mistake low volume for volatility. Meaning, if you're not sure where your sales come from, and you get one sale here, and then 2 weeks later you get another sale, and it feels sporadic, it feels volatile. Well, there is a certain amount of advertising activity that is occurring over that period of time. And we know that a month passes and you get 1 to 2 sales. And so the companies that are in your space that are doing 1 to 2 sales a day take what you're doing in a month and they do that every day. And I know that you can get this, and I want to put this in context here. I would like to build a personal brand, and I say, cool. And then I ask, how much content are you putting out? And they say, I put out, 1 or 2 pieces a week. And I'm like, that's amazing. For context, for anyone who's listening to this, we put out 450 pieces a week. And so the brand that we have is way larger because we do so much more than you do. And people can't fathom the idea that someone works 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, 1,000 times more output than they are doing. But it is usually the reality of why they are getting 1,000 times more than you're getting. And fundamentally, this is the concept of leverage, which is, that you get more for what you put in. In the beginning, you're the one doing the flyers. Then you get leverage because then you make enough from those flyers that you can look at your time study and be like, okay, I can pay 2 guys to do these flyers and I can get 8 hours back. That would be amazing. But now you've got 2 guys doing flyers, which is still double of what you were doing. Now you have double the revenue that's coming in. You're like, okay, should I hire more guys? That's more. Or should I do something better? Should I change my flyer up? Should I change the offer on the flyer? That would be better. Or should I start Facebook ads? Well, the new, which would be Facebook ads, is the 10% thing. Now, when you're looking at allocation of resources, let's say now I'm fast forwarding a little bit into a company that has, profit that they can do stuff with. Part of the reinvestment is insurance for the future. And so every business has 3 strategic buckets that it has to allocate its resources into. Number 1 is, how do we get more customers? Like, if we get more customers, the company grows, period. Number 2, how do we increase lifetime gross profit per customer? So if we got the same amount of customers, but we made all the customers worth more, we would also grow. Bucket 3 is, how do we decrease risk? AKA, how do we increase the likelihood that the first 2 things don't stop happening? Mm-hmm. And so those are the 3 buckets. And so when you look at that 70-20-10, the 70 for the most part is usually going to be directed towards get more customers, make them worth more. And the better also ladders up to that. The risk factor is usually going to be the new thing that you're going to do to ensure your future is going to be there by the time you get there. And so if we noticed, for example, that like YouTube becomes like legacy television and viewership starts dropping and it becomes this new VR, whatever, right? At some point, we're going to have to look and be like, we need to take 10%, 20% of our profit every year and start building out this new team. We're going to continue to do what we're currently doing. And here's the mistake that you need to avoid. Don't take the stars that are making the one thing work and then push them on the other thing. You have to find the people who can build this otherwise you're going to sacrifice the core. Because all of a sudden it's like, oh God, Well, now we're totally screwed because now we're not getting customers from our existing thing and we haven't figured out the new thing yet, right? And so this is fundamentally where I see the CEO role. It's like you want to eventually become the flex player, which is that you can parachute in to a specific division or department that's solving a complex issue. And then you have the benefit that you have as CEO or founder is that you have decision-making power and you have the ability to allocate resources and immediately say yes to things. And that's why, and to be fair, it's unfair to your team to say, why can't they do things as fast as me? Well, because you can write the checks and because you can say yes. You don't need to check with the committee. You don't need to run it up the flagpole. It's just you saying, do this, do that, don't worry about that. I'm telling you, you can stay late for this meeting. This is more important. And so strategy is just a fancy word that people say when they mean prioritization. That's all it means. We have unlimited opportunities that we can allocate things towards, but we have limited resources. And so how do we prioritize those unlimited opportunities against those limited resources? That is fundamentally what strategy is. And that's another way of just saying we prioritize.
Your gut and my gut is the home of our digestion, and it's also a gateway to better health. But it can be hard to know what's going on in there. Zoe, who sponsors this podcast, has one of the largest microbiome databases on the planet and one of the world's most advanced at-home gut health tests. Their blood sugar sensor, which I have in this box in front of me, goes on your arm so you can see how different foods impact your blood sugar. Then there's the at-home blood sample, which is really easy and analyzes your body's blood fat. And of course, the famous Blue Zoe cookie, which tests your metabolism. Oh, and I can't forget there's also a poo sample, which is a critical step in understanding the health of your microbiome. And you post it all to Zoe and you get your results back, which will help you to understand your body's response to different foods. Using your results, Zoe's app will also create a personalized nutrition plan for you. And this is exactly why I invested in the business. So my question to you is, how healthy is your gut? Head to zoe.com to order your kit and find out. And because you're one of our listeners, use code Steven10 for 10% off your membership. Head to zoe.com now. At my company, Flight Studio, which is part of my bigger company, Flight Group, we're constantly looking for ways to build deeper connections with our audiences. Whether that's a new show, a product, or a project, it's why I launched the Conversation Cards. I've relied on Shopify before, who's a sponsor of today's podcast, and I'll be using them again for the next big launch, which you'll hear about soon. And I use them because of how easy it is to set up an online store that reaches all of you, no matter where you are in the world. With Shopify, the usual pain points of launching products online disappear completely. No matter the size of your business, Shopify has everything you need to make your business go to the next level and better connect with your customers all over the world. To say thank you to all of you for listening to my show, we're giving you a trial, which is just $1 a month. You can sign up by going to shopify.com/Bartlett. That's shopify.com/Bartlett, or find the link in the description below. On the car example you're talking about with the flyers, what I was thinking is so many businesses try and win on the game of creativity. So we'll create something more creative and appealing as an advert. And I see this in my portfolio because they'll send me something and they'll go, Steve, one particular business I'm thinking about, a major national supermarket has given us a display slot in 400 supermarkets. Which display should we use? And they'll say to me, this one or this one.
Right.
And I remember replying to them and saying, I don't know, and you don't know. But here's the system to find out. We're going to create 100 displays, and we're going to run them as ads on Facebook, or we're going to create some kind of environment where we're not going to try and win on being the best creative guesses. We're going to win on our rate of experimentation. We're going to conduct more experiments. And I think this is
What's Skool? How does it work? Well, let me explain. So Skool's an online platform for building a group online about whatever you want. It's easy, and sure, everyone says that, but how easy? Well, right now, 1 out of 2 people who start a community online make money. Yes, 54.1%. And the reason that we have such a high success rate is because we spent hundreds of hours studying thousands of successful groups to figure out exactly what they did to make money. And then we broke it down into a step-by-step recipe for making money. Doesn't that smell good? And so we bullet it into do this X times per day and do this Y times per week. And it works. It works so well that right now the average paid community makes $1,360 per month in recurring revenue, which is pretty sweet. So no, it won't make you into a billionaire, but it will help you get started. And you can keep scaling all the way up like the 10 people that I was just showing you earlier. And on top of that, we built everything that you need to run a paid group on Skool already. So no, you won't need to start a Stripe account. No, you won't need to build a website. No, you won't need to have any inventory. And you won't have to hire anyone new. No thanks, guys. We're good. Skool works out of the box. Ta-da!
It's that easy. We built it that works the same way as social media, so you don't need to learn anything new. All right. There's not even a single piece of technology that you figure out. You just log in and you can collect money in minutes, literally. And if you're just starting out, here's you. You're literally who we built Skool for. So remember those crazy people that I showed you over there? Say hello. They did this last month, and if they can do it, so can you. This is built for people who are brand new to business or brand new to online business. And if you're wondering, well, do I need to have an audience? No, half of those guys didn't have an organic audience. And these guys are the winners. So no, we'll show you where and how people are getting their first customers absolutely free. Follow me. Listen, if you don't believe me, think about it like this. If we get 1 out of 2 paid communities to make money, most people don't have organic audiences. So we had to figure it out or no one would stay on Skool, but we have. And that's why we have tens of thousands of groups on Skool right now. And as much as I'd like to think people love me, people stay because they make money. And we'll show you exactly how they did it. And also, just to make sure you don't get stuck on any step, I answer questions every single week. I hop on calls. And so if you want to hop on there live, we usually have 200 or 300 people who hop on those calls. So it's not huge. And so now's the best time to get started. So if that sounds at all interesting, the best part is you can start a community of your own absolutely free. Just click the yellow button below this video, enter your details to start your absolutely free trial. Worst case, start for free, you decide to quit, and then you can take all the training that other people charge thousands of dollars for with you for free. Again, that's the worst case. Best case, you take a zero risk move and build an online business that could change your life forever. And to be clear, I'm not asking you to decide yes or no today. I'm asking you to make an informed decision. That's it. And the only way you can do that is on the inside, not on the outside. So get inside and see if everything that we say is true and valuable to you. Then if it is, in 2 weeks is when you can actually decide for real. And if you get in and decide it's not for you, no sweat. But you can't truly make an informed decision right now for the same reason you don't buy a house without looking inside of it first, or test drive a car before buying it. So this is a guaranteed risk-free test drive. And listen, whether it's 13 minutes or 13 days from now, if you decide that it's not for you for any reason whatsoever, all you have to do is go to your profile and click cancel. That's it, 1 click. And the only reason you can make an offer that strong is because you're confident that what you have is the real deal. And I'm fairly confident that when you sign up by hitting the button below, you're getting exactly what you need to start your online business. So you might as well give it a shot. The only other guarantee is that if you don't take this shot, you'll stay right where you are right now. If you take action, you could be the next one coming out to Vegas celebrating how quickly you built an online business with consistent monthly recurring revenue and driving away in a Cybertruck or with 100 grand in cash in your pocket. Pretty neat. So click the button below, join us in the Skool games. I take calls every Monday, hop on and be sure to let me know you're new. I'll see you on the other side.